share it out too on your
Yeah,
phone.
definitely. Oh, okay.
Yep.
And we are live with episode 181 of the Start, Build, Grow Show. Randy Brothers, my friend, what is going on? How we doing?
Just hanging out, laying low, brother. We got a lot of things going on, man. The academy, it's that time of year, getting ready for next year.
Mm-hmm.
So working hard, grinding away day and night, making things happen. We had a nice big announcement today we made. So if y'all haven't seen that, go ahead and check my personal Facebook feed. But big things happening, man. Just like everybody, really working hard, trying to prep and make the most out of 2022. What about you, man? You're in Dallas, right?
I'm out here in Dallas, man, just recording podcasts, if you will, right? Helping someone else launch another podcast. They brought me in. So
Yeah.
far, so good. The whole goal of theirs was to bridge the gap between the insurance companies and contractors and figure out how to really smooth those transitions and those relationships. So far, so good, man. But we got another guest that's out here in Dallas as well. Randy, you know this guy?
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of insurances and making things happen and relationships, man, I've had a chance to connect with you at a number of different events over the years, and I've always been thoroughly impressed, man. You're just a high integrity dude that knows his stuff, that does a great job being professional, and just a good dude to hang out with and be a part of the industry. So it's been a long time coming, my friend, but I'm excited to finally welcome you and finally have you on the show, Mervyn, man. What's up, dude?
What's going on, fellas? Appreciate you guys having me on, man. You're right. It's been too long overdue that I get on and hop on with you guys. Of course, I ran into Nick a couple of times, see Randy a couple of times, and we always chit chat. Hey, I need to get you on the podcast, and finally we got it done.
Yep,
Let's
here
do
we
it,
are. The
man.
stars
Yeah.
aligned. All of our agents, reached out and connected with each other. Contracts were signed. Your checks in the mail.
Your people contacted my people,
Yep.
and we got it done.
Yes, sir, man. Well, hey, so Mervyn, I always like to start out with kind of your background, your story, man. So obviously you with Roofer's Choice. Kind of what's your background? How did you get into the space?
Yeah, so I've been with Roofer's Choice about 6 years now, and I actually got into the industry by a good friend of mine. He's actually one of the principals of the company, Brett Scott. Brett and Jack Scott, I've known them for probably 20 years now at this point. Grew up playing baseball with them. We were each other. I was best man at his wedding. He was in my wedding. That kind of relationship. And once I graduated college, this Roofer's Choice deal that they had, program that they had setting up, was still kind of in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they were writing some good contractors, writing some good premium, but it was on that edge of just really, really taking off. So that, when I graduated college, they were like, "Hey, why don't you come and work with us?" And to
Mm-hmm.
me, it was a chance to, go back to my hometown, work in my hometown. My family's there. My girlfriend at the time lived there. She's my wife now. So again, it was just that opportunity to go back home and build something, or
Yep.
try to build something with a good friend of mine.
Yep.
And I felt there was, it was a great opportunity, and I could not turn it down. Especially knowing the type of people that they were. They were just somebody that I wanted to be around. Again, I want to build something together that we can be proud of, like we've always talked about since we were kids. So once I graduated college, they got me on, and been at it since, and we've really gotten gained some good traction over the last, probably 6 years or so, where we've really kind of taken off and built some good relationships and planted some seeds across the industry with, building these relationships and culture. And now we're seeing those seeds cultivate into, where we are today, and getting a chance to be on you guys' podcast. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Absolutely, man.
So, I'm just gonna go out on a wild hair here, on a limb, and say that if I were to look at I got little kids in like first grade, right? And they fill out those little forms like, what do I want to be when I grow up? If I looked at yours, it would be, I want to be in the roofing insurance business.
Maybe not exactly, but it's kind of like where it led me to was
Yep.
insurance. I guess I was never going to escape the insurance world, but yeah, I guess if that's what you put on my resume when I was 2 years old, that's what I
Yeah.
Right
became.
next to being a firefighter, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if any of us knew we were going to get into the roofing space the way we are, right? But such a great industry to be in. So Randy, when you started at Elite, what did you know about what insurance to get to protect your company?
I just started calling and asking other people like, hey, who do I call? What do I do? Like, and I kind of went through a couple different insurance, companies early on, and didn't have, and unfortunately I was kind of naive to it, and I didn't have the greatest coverage at first, and I kind of had some hiccups and had some issues that that I dealt with
Mm-hmm.
over the first few years, and then we got connected. We bought another company, got connected on like a group deal, and then actually we just recently kind of been connected with you, Mervin, right?
Yep,
And
yep,
we're
yep.
really kind of going that route too. Is Yeah, I think the key with insurance, again, I
Yeah.
don't we don't want to be, we're not trying to be like, we don't want to bore everybody like those commercials with let's talk about insurance to put our babies to sleep. We don't want to
Mm,
do that today, but from a roofer, my gosh, you can live and die, your business can live and die with proper coverages and having a great great representative that knows the ins and outs of what to look for and how to make sure you're protected. Because the worst thing is when something happens and you're not protecting, you didn't even know about it. Those are not fun times as a business owner for sure.
hmm So is the issue just, hey, they're either going the cheap route because, hey, it's the least expensive? Is it lack of education? What do you usually see in Mervyn?
Yeah, so I mean, you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? So these contractors that are out there, I mean, you're right. A lot of them may be price sensitive. Or my buddy from high
Mm-hmm.
school sells commercial insurance. I'm just going to go to him. He can draw me up a policy. Boom, I have a certificate of insurance. I'm covered, right? But I ask contractors all the time, well, hey, have you ever dealt with a property? The guys that are doing insurance work, I'm like, hey, you ever dealt with a property owner that didn't have the proper coverage? Oh man, all the time, all the time. And then they start naming off all these carriers that I'm not going to name because we all know who they are. And yeah, they sold them this policy. This homeowner had this policy. They had the XYZ excluded. It's terrible policy. I don't know why anybody would sell this property on this type of policy. I'm like, okay, well, that can be you on the general liability side if you're not paying attention to what you purchased to protect your assets, to protect your
Mm-hmm.
business.
Yeah.
And it's like something clicks. Like, you know what? I never thought about that. But I mean, it's insurance. They're not the carriers will. If they're not going to pay out a dime if you have a bunch of exclusions in your policy or have a height restriction in your policy and you land a 5-story hotel that you're going to be roofing, but you have a 3-story height restriction, then you have a claim on that job. That's not when you want to realize that you want to find out that you have a height restriction in that policy. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm seeing is you don't know what you don't know. So, definitely do your homework. Whatever agency, whatever agent you're using, do your homework. Ask them these questions. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing torch operations, torch down work. Am I covered for that? A lot of carriers would cover that. The type of buildings that you're working on. If you're working on condos, again, these height restrictions, the areas in the country that you're working on, their rates might be a little bit higher. So again, you don't know what you don't know. So again,
Mm-hmm.
do your homework, ask your agent these questions, and and again, you want to be with somebody who specializes in the space, understands the risk, and can help walk you through a scenario where something catastrophic may happen on your job site, and you may need a little bit of guidance or some coaching up on how to properly minimize the damages. You know what I mean. So that's definitely what I see is, again, I always recommend, guys, do your homework on what you're actually purchasing, because that's
Yeah.
what's protecting your business. It doesn't matter what supply company you buy from, what Facebook ads you have out there, what big souped up F-250 truck you have out there. You have one catastrophic claim, you're out of business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that time and time again, unfortunately.
So
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
here's the reality, right? Speaking to our audience, whether you're listening to this or you're watching the show, you've been following the show. This show is geared towards roofing entrepreneurs. Not only vendors who own different softwares, insurance, all the different things, but a lot of roofing contractors who own businesses watch this show,
Mhm.
and of all different shapes, sizes, just getting started, been doing it a long time. But here's the reality that we all don't want to accept, but it's just true and real. Okay. When you become a business owner, when you become a responsible party, a CEO of a roofing company, and you start and launch a roofing company, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If you
Mm-hmm.
haven't had a claim or a lawsuit, I hate to break it to you, but it's going to happen. It's just is. It's
No
part.
doubt.
It's just,
No doubt.
it's going to happen at some point in your journey as an entrepreneur. So it's one of those things that we don't think about. We want to just press the easy button. We want to just say, give me a policy and make it as cheap as possible. And they never read the fine print and they never look at it again. And then we grow our business, and then we add revenue, we add different streams. Oh, I'm going to do commercial. We get with Paul and those guys in the commercial academy. We're going to add commercial. We're going to take on this job and take on this job. And we don't even look at our policy. We just pay the bill.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden it happens, you weld something too cold, and all of a sudden all the seams pop, and it
Ugh,
snows or rains, and boom, now you have a huge flat roof that's leaking all over the place. What are you going to do? So
exactly.
the reality of it is, if you're listening to this and you've never had something like that happen, it's only a matter of time. So make sure you do your due diligence and don't just pass the buck and press the easy button and say, you figure out my insurance. No, you're an owner, you're responsible for your business. You got to figure out and make sure that you have the right coverages. Both. I'm not just trying to sell your insurance. I'm just saying, with insurance and legal. You need a good
Yeah.
lawyer, need a good
Yeah.
attorney, you need a good CPA. Well, I learned that in business school 101. Get a good lawyer, get a good CPA, make sure you have good insurance. Like, those are the three vital elements to growing a sustainable, like a legitimate business. Those are also three things that we intentionally just put on the back burner and don't make a priority in our lives.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
need to.
I get it. I mean, no one likes paying for insurance. I get it. It's not the fun, attractive thing to pay for, but you don't want to realize you need something and then not have it. When that, because you're right, it's not if, it's going to be a when something happens. You want to make sure your insurance portfolio is going to be buttoned up properly and covering you for your operations. I don't want you to be misclassified, and I see it all the time where, oh, I don't want to pay the roofing rate. I'll just go get a cheaper policy, go get rated as a carpenter or as a remodeler. Those are the two other trades that I see more often. So the carpenter remodeling code. All right, that's fine and dandy. That'll get you a certificate of insurance. But what happens when you file a claim? And your carrier comes out and says, hey, what are you doing, installing a roofing system? I rated you for carpentry code. We're not on this claim. Now,
Mm-hmm.
now, what good did that policy do you? What good did that certificate of insurance do you if it's not going to respond to, protecting your interest, protecting your business that you've worked so hard to build? And again, one claim like that, you're bankrupt. You're out of business, unfortunately.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, Randy mentioned the scenario where, hey, let's say you're doing residential roofing, you decide to add commercial, you're all excited about it. How often should you be, reviewing your current policy to make sure it's aligned with what services you're providing and matches what kind of work you're doing?
Yeah, so if you're getting into the commercial realm, if you're barely starting off getting into it, review your current general liability policy, because that's going to be a little bit different, because they're going to want different forms and endorsements when you're doing these types of commercial jobs. So, and also too, when you're bidding for these commercial jobs, you're going to get a packet that's going to have your insurance requirements. That's simply going to have, your general liability requirements, the $1 million limit, your commercial auto. They may request some bonds from you. Umbrella policies, of course, if you're going to be doing commercial, you're going to want to, you're going to need to purchase one of those eventually. So don't just think, oh, my general liability, I'm compliant, I can get on these jobs and I'll get awarded these jobs. And then you get awarded that job, and then you realize, oh, I need to buy an auto policy, an umbrella policy. I got to buy all these additional policies, and now it's cutting down the margins of your profit. So
Mm-hmm.
again, whenever you get that insurance or the commercial packet that you're bidding with the insurance requirements, send it over to your insurance team. Hey, this is what I'm bidding. This is what I'm doing. And again, if they know what they're doing, they'll be able to walk you through everything
Yeah.
as far as what you need and what you don't need, and kind of negotiate all the terms and conditions and stuff.
So, I just got a comment in here, right? We had some people, we had Ty saying, "What's up, fellas?" Nate Ellis, haven't seen you in a while. What's up, fellas? What is going on, my friend? But we also had our buddy Tim Brown. He said, "Nick, you at the hotel during Win the Storm, right?" So he's actually one of the sponsors. I think we're going to take just a quick break. And then what I want to do after we thank our sponsors is let's just dive into the details of what to look for, right? Because I think it's a very confusing process, and I think it's just a lack of education sometimes. So I think this could be a really important thing to be like, hey, what to look for in liability insurance, what's appropriate, stuff like that. That way, hey, people kind of have a path, and then from there, if they want to get connected with you, I think that'd be a great idea. But we'll start out with our friends at Job Nimbus.
Job Nimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
All right. So if you somehow have not checked out Job Nimbus, make sure you're doing it, right? You want to make your business more organized, more efficient. Go to info.jobnimbus.com/roofing-academy. Now, of course, hey, let's say that you're our next friend's Hook agency. We'll do a shout out there, but obviously you're gonna need Job Nimbus because you're gonna have all these leads from Hook and Search.
Is it time to turn the heat up on your marketing?
The website's now been live for 4 months. We did just under $100,000 of leads coming out of organic SEO.
Always a cool commercial there with the flamethrowers. So make sure you check out our friends at Hook Agency, hookagency.com. Right now that you got that lead, it's organizing your CRM system. You're going to have to pop out a proposal, but you want the best looking one. So here you go.
Are you looking to stand out with your proposal? Sumo Quote is the contractor quote that crushes the competition. It is the fastest way to build custom quotes that impresses clients and wins more work. It's one of those must-have technologies for roofing contractors, allowing them to sell faster, sell more, and sell smarter. Be sure to check them out at try.sumoquote.com/start-build-grow.
Make sure you check them out, and all these companies are at the Win the Storm conference we're at right now. But make sure you're checking them out. So now, okay, so let's say whether they're a new contractor or maybe they're looking to change up their policy. If they're looking at liability insurance, what are like the key things? Is there any key aspects that they should be looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. A good place to start is definitely looking at the forms and endorsement, looking at what exclusions you have built into that policy, and what your operations are. For example, if you're a commercial contractor doing torch down, a lot of carriers will shy away from torch down operation. So if you have a job that requires a torch application and open flame to be used, you want to double check with that carrier saying, hey, I got this job. I need to do X, Y, Z, an open flame. I'm going to use torch. What are your requirements from me? Right. So again, make sure you're reviewing that. So that's typically going to be, if you're using torch down, they want you to have someone on the job site. Their only job is to be on that job site and have a fire extinguisher. And just essentially walk in the property and to stay a minimum of 2 hours. Some require 4 hours, again, depending on the carrier, to stay after the job is complete. If anything were to flare up, they're available there with the fire extinguisher. And again, they'll give you the prerequisites that you need to meet. So again, think about the type of operations, the type of buildings that you're going to be working on. If you're doing work on condos, a lot of carriers will shy away from condo work. So if you land a big condo job, you need to double check, or some of these multifamily exclusions out there. Make sure that you get these jobs. Make sure you're allowed to do those. Again, insurance carriers aren't lining up at the door to write a bunch of roofing premium. They're just it's a high risk, high reward. There's only a handful of them that will do it the right way, and we have access to every single one of them. So we kind of understand what their appetite is, what they'll tolerate and what they won't tolerate. So we actually, when we're quoting somebody, we're asking these questions. We're vetting because we want to know. We want to know what the right fit for you is, because the right fit for you, Nick, may not be the right fit for Randy, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So again, ask that. I got this job. I'm doing this job. I'm working on buildings that are going to exceed over 3 stories. Again, a lot of policies will cap you on height restrictions. You do not want to have a height restriction in your policy because, again, you land a 5-story hotel that you're about to roof, you're about to get a nice commission on it, right? But then you realize, oh, I have a height restriction on my policy. Then you have a claim on that job. What good did that policy do you, right? So again, it's always important to look at these forms and endorsements. So torch down if you're doing torch down, make sure that's okay. Height restrictions are huge. Open roof exclusions. I see this form quite a bit, and that's really a huge exposure that contractors have out there because you're peeling a layer off of a structure. Especially, for example, I'm in Texas. It's nice and sunny right now, but if you blink in 15 minutes, a pop-up thunderstorm can happen. And then what's going to happen? Obviously, you guys are going to, try to dry in the property, have tarps on the job site. But what happens when the winds get to howling 30, 40, 50 miles per hour, and they're struggling to get this tarp down to get the property dried in? And everyone knows it only takes 5 to 10 minutes before water can do some serious damage to a property. Right? So open roof exclusions are huge. You do not want to ever have an open roof exclusion. And if they have an endorsement, it's not going to be excluded, but you got to meet some prerequisites that they're going to require from you. Check monitor the weather. I forget what their prerequisites are, but again, that's a huge one. You do not want to have an open roof exclusion. To date, that has been our biggest claim that we've had to pay out. It was about 3 years ago on a chocolate factory right before Valentine's Day. So they had a boatload of inventory. $1.3 million later, we settled that.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and it was a freak pop-up thunderstorm in the state of Florida. So again, that another huge one that I see, and I see it trending more and more in our industry is bodily injury exclusions. In the event that a sub, a property owner, whatever the case may be, they get hurt on one of your job sites, and they sue you because they're not an employee of yours, they can't collect workman's comp. So what is their next step to do? Because I'll give you an example. We have a guy, sub of a sub, is climbing up the ladder, slips and falls, he broke his leg. He wasn't a W-2 employee, he could not collect workman's comp. He's out of work 2-3 months with this broken leg, bills are piling up. He gets an attorney in his ear saying, hey, you can make a nice little settlement if you sue the person you were working for at the time. So he does. Mind you, this was his best friend he was working for. So he sues him. We paid $78,000 to defend it, $225,000 for the bodily injury. This is for a broken leg. Had we had a bodily injury exclusion, our insurer would have had to pay over $300,000 out of pocket, which, let's be honest, that's going to bankrupt 99% of contractors out there to pay a $300,000 settlement on somebody. You know what I mean? So that's a huge, and I'm seeing these types of claims becoming more and more prevalent in our industry. So that's a huge one. But again, it doesn't only extend to your subs. I'll give you another example. In the state of Georgia, 6 months after the job was completed, our insurance completed a job on a residential property. The homeowner loved it. They loved the crew. They loved working with this company. I think they even gave them a Google review, right, saying how much he recommends them, so on and so forth, right? 6 months after the job was completed, he's going out to pick up the paper in the morning, steps on a rusty nail. Of course, he's a diabetic, doesn't get treated properly. He ends up having to get his leg amputated.
Oh, no.
So he files a bodily injury suit against our insured, and we settled that, $550,000, $565,000 later. So I don't mean to say these stories to scare anybody, but guys, these are real situations that can happen on any one of your job sites. Again, this was 6 months after the job was completed and stepping on a rusty nail. Are you going to pick up every single one of these nails? It's pretty tough. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it'll hide in that grass, it'll hide in those bushes, and it only takes for one time for someone to step on that rusty nail for it to turn into a situation that we've had to deal with. And again, had we had a bodily injury exclusion, our insurer would have had to pay, over $500,000 out of pocket to defend himself and the liability that he had on that. So again, these are the types of claims that I'm seeing more and more of, unfortunately, is these bodily injury types of claims.
But in all those situations, they were covered though with those policies.
With us, these are scenarios that we've had to pay out. Yes.
Wow.
So that's what I mean. Like we've really done our homework with, we're roofing specific. So I'm never going to claim that I can install a roofing system. Absolutely not. But in the event something happens on one of your job sites, I can dang sure protect your company and give you, coach you up on what needs to be done, what the next steps are, and be an asset to you, not just someone who's going to provide you a certificate of insurance, because things may happen throughout that job that may scare you. But hey, no, we need to do X, Y, Z. We're good here. Check this out. And kind of advise you and offer some guidance on how to minimize these things from happening, because no one ever wants to have a claim. I mean, they're not fun to deal with. I hate dealing with them, but that's what insurance is for.
Mm-hmm.
The right insurance is for, I should say.
Yeah, right. That's funny, because I was gonna just stimulate the conversation with, hey, give me some stories, and you went right in, man. That's stuff that's real. That's what I was talking about earlier. It's you never know, right? You never know what's gonna happen. So you need peace of mind. Let's focus on other things in your business than whether you're one issue, one suit, or one issue that's not covered is going to put you out. You might as well just do what you need to do to have the right coverages, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why
absolutely.
it's so important to go with somebody that you trust too. I mean, there's nothing worse than something happening and then realizing that it's not covered. It's like just like health insurance, where something big happens, where it could be traumatic to you, and all of a sudden you go to use your insurance and you get that huge bill. You see that stuff on the news all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I mean, no one likes paying for the insurance. I don't like paying for the insurance, but I have to get my health insurance. I have to get my auto insurance. I have to insure my home, But again, in the event something happened, that's going to be your first line of defense is your insurance policies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the protection is so crucial. I mean, when it comes down to your business, I mean, not only is it you, but now as you scale your company, right, and grow your company, all these people are relying on you. So if you're not protecting, something else happens, all those people are going to be impacted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen it time and time again, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, good stuff, guys. I mean, hey, make sure that you're hitting Mervyn up. I'm telling you, he's one of the good guys in the industry, right? If you're needing help with your current policy, reviewing that, or if you need to do policy, make sure you're hitting him up. But we always end it with the gold nugget. So basically, it's something just to leave the viewers with. It could be insight, it could be thoughts, something to implement, something to avoid, whatever it might be. But I make Randy go first every time. So Randy, for the 181st time, what's that golden nugget, my brother?
So I'm going to dive into something that, Mervyn kind of talked a little bit about early on when he first was talking about how he got into the business. And, a friend of his, they were going to get in and, and do something professionally. And he graduated college and got the opportunity to come work here. And I'll venture to say that, your friend saw something in you, an ability within you to help them take that business to the next level. Right. And you've executed, you've been there ever since. I want to reiterate that same thing from my own personal perspective with the Roofing Academy. I have certain skill sets, that I'm really good at, and there's other areas of the world and that I'm not so great at. But one of the best pieces of advice I got, when I was in business school and entrepreneurship classes was, the most successful entrepreneurs are people that are humble enough to find and surround themselves with people that are better than themselves, that are better, than themselves at specific things. I mean, everybody has certain God-given strengths and weaknesses, but us as entrepreneurs, too many of us are held back because of our own pride, and it gets in the way, and we're not able to, hire and bring people and support and put people in positions that are better than ourselves. And, and as living proof of that, we just brought on a new chief operating officer for the Roofing Academy that's very, very good at some of the things that I'm not good at. And I'm more than excited to be and proud to announce that, I practice what I preach there. And the lesson is find people better than yourself, focus on giving people opportunities, design your life and design your business in a way that puts you in a position that accentuates your strengths and delegates your weaknesses. And that is one of the keys to success.
Absolutely. Well said, my friend.
Awesome. Yeah, very well said.
Mervyn, what you got?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll leave everybody with this: is always do your homework. Make sure you're doing your homework, purchasing your insurance portfolios, whether it be workman's comp, your commercial auto, general liability, bonds that are maybe out there required from you. Do your homework on these things, because they're going to be your first line of defense in the event something happens, catastrophic happens on one of your job sites. You want to make sure that you have these documents in order. Do your homework on your sub agreements, your safety manuals. your residential docs, your commercial docs, right? Again, do your homework, because if like Randy said, when something happens, that's when you're gonna thank me that, oh, I'm glad I listened and I had XYZ in order and everything flowed smoothly from a claims perspective. And also to align yourself with individuals, good individuals in this industry, that can better the conversation with you, that are smarter than you, like I'm doing with you two guys, that can really build and cultivate a relationship that's going to last, and not some of these fly-by-nights that come and go in our industry. And again, like I've said earlier, I planted the seed across the industry, and now I'm seeing these relationships cultivate into friendships now. And again, I appreciate you, both of you guys, for having me on today.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Hey,
man.
real quick before we go, man, give a shout out to Nate Ellis, longtime listener, a good friend of mine, local guy. Good, what's up, buddy? He says, leave a number. How do we get a hold of you? And obviously, a lot of people are going to be listening to this podcast as well. If you are listening to the podcast, pull over right now, press the subscribe button if you haven't already, and then also go on your Facebook and find the Star Build Grow Show. That way you can get notified when we go live on Facebook. All kidding aside, how do we get a hold of you, Mervyn?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give y'all the email for the office. It's just going to be, and I get a copy of it. It's going to be app@rooferschoiceinsurance.com, app@rooferschoiceinsurance.com. You can call the office line at 855-766-3980. Again, 855-766-3980. And if you guys that are tuned in, you guys are more than welcome to reach out to me directly on my cell phone, 972-921-5483. My cell is 972-921-5483. Shoot me a text, shoot me a call, and I'd love to chit chat with you guys.
My man. Appreciate you. Well, everybody out there, thanks for tuning in.
Take care. God bless.
181.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks, guys.
Grow Show. See you guys.